Yeah. Morning. Aha. All right. We're ready to go. Good morning, beautiful and amazing fans of Magic the Gathering. Friends, fans, loved ones, folks, thanks for joining me this morning for the final edition of March's Morning Magic the Gathering Stocks and Talks. I'm your host, Brody Alfonso. Thanks for joining me this morning. I would got an amazing show for all of you folks joining us at home. So those of you who've tuned in today for Friday's Yabba Dabba Doo edition, it's just like Fred Flintstone said, we're getting set to slide down that dinosaur's tail. It's Friday. We've got a heck of a show for you folks. Today, the poll is up. The question is up. You go on TikTok for your Magic the Gathering content. Answer that question in the polls, and I'm going to get to that just a little bit later. Thank you all for joining us. Some interesting news in the game of Magic the Gathering today and in the financial world. So if you like tracking the prices of Magic cards, or perhaps there's just too much information out there, let me do it for you. I'm doing it each and every day, Monday through Friday, here on the morning show. It's me, it's Bro to the D. It's March 31st, 2023. Thanks for joining me here on the show this morning. I've got a good one planned for you. And if anybody of you sitting on the beach right now in a hot, sunny place, I'm envious. If you're tuning in, say hello in the chat. And if you're sitting on the beach, maybe just wave and you can join in the conversation here this morning. Everybody's welcome here. Let's make no bones about it. Let's get right into it because I want to warm up nicely this morning. I'm going to take a look at a couple of AI generated magic cards with you folks here this morning, just to make sure that all the software and the equipment is working just right. And if those of you who are tuning in, I know your time is valuable and we don't have time to waste. So let's just jump right into it here. If the card is playable whatsoever, even if it's a little overcosted, you're going to hear this sound. That's right, the dinger. And if the card has any gibberish whatsoever, we've got no time for gibberish here on the show. No way, no how. You'll hear this sound. We fail it and we move on to the next one. Controversy around Magic the Gathering. OMG. We've got a copy of Scry magazine from 2003 here and a couple of other ones. I'm going to just put that up for you folks watching at home. Let's get right into some AI generated magic cards with you folks here today. What do you think of this card? Ethereal Spell Shipper, right? Make sure the chat's working here this morning. Get my epic pen going. We're going to take some time to make some lines on some charts. Let's look at this Ethereal Spell Shaper here this morning. It's an interesting card. It's in black. This live stream is for you guys, morning fellow corporate suckers. The working man for the working man, bringing you the show here this morning. Good morning, Richie Noobs. Thanks for joining us this morning. Tommy Siddons is in the house today. Too busy playing Magic to watch TikTok. All right, hit the vote button here. Let's vote for this card, Ethereal Spell Shaper. This looks like Brody, right? It totally looks like me. It's got a big old beard on it. I'm giving this card a pass right out the gate. Yeah, don't even want to read it. Art alone, we've seen enough. No, let's look at this card here. Come on, seriously, folks. This is a serious Magic the Gathering show. Help me hold it together. All right. 3/4, legendary creature Agako, 5 mana. You got 2 black and 3 for this fella here. Agako. When Ethereal Spellshaper dies, if you control a Cumber, have trample, exile that card instead. No. Get out of here. A Cumber have trample. Nobody wants a Cumber have trample. All right. Moving right along here this morning. How about this one? Spinners the Earth. 7 mana Planeswalker Ral. 5 loyalty. Legendary Ral mono blue Planeswalker. Spinners the Earth. +1. Each creature you control with flying gets -X until end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. So far, that checks out. -9. There's no middle. There's no down. It's just an ultimate. You get an emblem with at the beginning of your upkeep, you may create an XX dinosaur creature token where X is the number of islands you control. Wow. Okay, fine. We got to pass it. That seems like a playable card. Nothing wrong with that there. Who we got in the house? Michael Superbacker's here joining us. Benson and friends. Richie Dubs here. All the fans, the friends, my friends joining me today. The usual suspects, if you will. Carnion Crocodile. Nightmare Fish Beast. All right, looks more like a frog if you ask me. But anyway, this 2/2 Vigilance will cost you a green and 3. I got a good show for you folks this morning. Ho, ho, ho. All right, Vigilance, tap, discard a card. Carnion Crocodile gets +3/+3 until end of turn. Seems fine. Seems a little underwhelming, but I mean, it is a magic card. It's not that bad. I think we could probably just straight up pass this one. Straight up pass, right? Gibberish. Where's the gibberish? I don't see any gibberish. The first one has gibberish. Brody, the Brody card has gibberish. This one says Vigilance discard, it gets 3/3. But the thing is like, I guess if it'll work if you're blocking it, you can swing with a 2/2 for Vigilance. You got to tap it and discard a card. So it's not really going to be that great for attacking. It's more of a blocker. Leave it up for blocks, right? And then tap it, pitch a card. It's a 5/5. Okay, fine. Not incredibly great, but it's not too bad. Tommy Siddons in the house. Okay, is this fair, playable, unplayable word salad? Let's give it a fair. Word salad? Oh yeah, the Ethereal Spellshaper is totally word salad. Mountain. Basic land. I got so excited here this morning. I'm flying. Can't wait for Rosewater battle cards, right? Oh, yeah. Tommy, good comment. Tommy Bahama, Tommy Siddons in the house. I hope you're coming from someplace warm this morning, Tommy. Grilled yourself a coffee here. You got the coffee pot on standby. Let's just pour into something while we sit here and look at these cards here. Basic Mountain, the land card. I think that one looks okay. They haven't snuck any extra land types on there. Mountain, basic land. Kind of hard to screw that up. I mean, if you're making mistakes on basic lands, maybe it's time to switch to a new vocation. Okay, how do you feel about Earth Spinners the Earth? I'm gonna give that one fair. It's too bad these aren't. And Carnery and Crocodile, that one's gonna get a fair as well. Yeah, it's fine. All right, how about this one? There's some real crappy ones here too, you know. I mean, there's some not so good ones. This one's a colorless mana for Divine Bloom. Check this out. This card's hilarious, okay? Read it with me here, folks. A colorless mana, instant speed, for each player. They may pay 4. If the player does, they may copy the spell and may choose new targets for the copy. Great. Except the spell doesn't do anything. It does nothing. It's 4 mana to copy this spell just to say you have a copy of it. For 1 colorless, you get nothing, just a spell that other players can copy. I don't know. I guess if it's a storm card, it could be okay, but it's not really. There's no purpose. Oh my golly gosh. There's just seeing no purpose with the Divine Bloom this morning. All right, the art on it's not too bad. Oh, this is digital art, right? I'm a fan of brush strokes, pen on paper, and oil on canvas. One more. Let's do another one. Oh, God. Brody's warmed up here. I'm pretty excited this morning. I have to calm down. Maybe I'll have a sip of coffee while we read this. Valermos the Time Bender. There's another Time Bender. Teferi's going to be choked. Old Valermos is horning in on his territory. Son of a gun, Valermos is a planeswalker for 3 blue and 1. This is like Jace Memory Adept mana. Like this is Jace mana. 3 blue and 1. It better be good. This is like Venser mana. 4 loyalty planeswalker, Valermos. Never heard of Valermos, but doesn't mean we can't have a Valermos. Choose one. For the +1, choose one, draw a card, and it discard a card or untap target permanent. I think I'll untap something rather than discard a card. Okay, so then -2, take an extra turn after this one. So 4 mana, you can activate this right away. You can't activate this ability on your extra turns. Ooh, I'm glad they said that because you could just keep ticking this down and take 2 extra turns for 4 mana. Nice work here. Okay, and -8, you get an emblem with at the beginning of each end step. If you didn't cast a spell this turn, take an extra turn after this one. If you didn't at the beginning of each end step, so every opponent's turn that you don't cast a spell, you get to take an extra turn. Holy guacamole. This card's insane. Who let them print this? Tommy Siggins digging the art. Moxfire's in the house. North Carolina. North Kakalaki. All right. I didn't know that's how we say it. Coming in hot from North Kakalaki. Tommy Siddons is digging the art on this card. It seems too powerful. I mean, it's functionally okay. It's just overpowered. Can we fail it? Yes. Let's get it out of here. This thing's way too powerful. I want that card. Me too. You're going to take a turn every time you don't cast a spell. Seems busted, right, Michael? Holy smokes. Somebody get this AI a drink. Tell him to relax. Divine Bloom's unplayable. Swamp seems fine. And Valermos the Time Bender, 87% of you folks say this sucker is overpowdered. It's overpowdered. Too much powder for Valermos. All right. Your headlines here this morning. We want to talk. Have you ever heard of Bitcoin? Anybody heard of Bitcoin? No, nobody's ever heard of it. All right. Well, we're going to get into that just in a little bit of a minute because there's some interesting news articles coming across in the banking world here this morning, including many others. Let's have a look. Yahoo Finance says the banking crisis shows why Bitcoin is needed now more than ever. Huh? Why would they come out saying this? Yahoo News says they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. A mere 15 years after the fallout from the global financial crisis, the global financial crisis inspired the creation of Bitcoin, yet eerily familiar crisis in the world of traditional banking is reminding us that financial systems is more fragile than we would like to believe. The introduction of Bitcoin is shrouded in mystique thanks to a part of the anonymity creator of Satoshi Nakamoto. But its creation was a logical reaction to the events of the 2008 crisis. For what we know, the first appearance of Bitcoin just came 2 months later after the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy failed, as Silicon Valley Bank, the wokest bank in the United States and in the world, finally folded under pressure due to the decisions that they've been making there based on lending. Credit Suisse not far behind them as the banks all around the world rush in using swap lines to send money all around the world. Of course, those folks who use swap lines are considered US friendly nations who are swap line positive, and then there are nations who are not in support of the US dollar and the use of swap lines to move US currency all around the world. In fact, they would rather use different currency like the yuan and others. But between this financial crisis that's currently taking place, Bitcoin has also served as a safety of value of the Cyprus banking crisis of 2013, which spread uncertainty through Europe. This unease led European citizens to diversify out of euros, Russian rubles, and into Bitcoin, driving Bitcoin up to $93 to an all-time high of $265. As the story continues, we want to let you folks know what is getting discussed here in banking news. So, why now? Why now? I find it quite interesting to see if you want to preserve some value, at least some play value in your collection. Join me here each and every morning. We want the fun in your collection, not in the showcase at the store. If you want to preserve the fun value and the playability of your Magic the Gathering collection, I want you to have that on hand. I want you to hold on to your Magic card collection, and I want to see it grow in value and be worth something when all this funny money seems to be going around. And then why now, at a time like this, are we going to see mainstream media suggesting the use of Bitcoin? All right. Well, more to come. It makes you wonder what is around the corner. But fortunately, we're following the news as it portends to the banking world, MTG Finance, and we've got one other little bit of banking news here for you folks before we get on to, people say Bitcoin is a store of wealth, but I like the Magic cards because they're cardboard, they're easy to pack around, they're fairly light, they fit in a case, they can be shipped, you can take them with you. There's a lot of use that you can have. You can't shuffle up any Bitcoin and deal a 60 card hand with it, unfortunately. All right. So we saw the fireside chat. We saw the 2022 fourth quarter earnings report, and we heard Hasbro's ESG pitch and that component of their entire business model, and they're pitching their stocks. And who are they pitching their stocks to? Well, I have a feeling some of these folks over from Berkshire Hathaway were in attendance at the fourth quarter annual report over at Hasbro. Why the banking crisis could be good news for Warren Buffett's highest yielding dividend stock, because of course when something goes poorly in one area, if somebody's selling their Magic cards, somebody's got to be buying it. So are you the goose or the gander in this situation? It looks like if you look at Berkshire Hathaway's regulatory findings, you might think that Buffett's highest yielding dividend stock is US Bancorp. The regional bank's dividend yield currently tops 5.5%. But we've had a hard time making a strong case that the banking crisis is good news for U.S. Bancorp's business. Banks are struggling right now. They're freaking out. They're waiting to see when the other shoe is going to drop, right? Certainly hasn't been good for the company's share price. It's plunged nearly 20% today. However, U.S. Bancorp is not Buffett's highest yielding dividend stock to find the stock market worth this distinction. We have to look beyond Berkshire's direct holdings to one of the conglomerate's subsidiaries. New England Asset Management has been part of Hathaway since 1998, an investment firm that holds many stocks that are in Berkshire's portfolio. Are they holding Hasbro stock? Let's take a look at the price of Hasbro stock, because we know with the financial crisis at hand, banks are looking for places to pack money. Where are you going to put your money if you can't keep it in the bank and you can't send it overseas without the banks folding? Maybe some Hasbro stock. Maybe these companies that are ESG supported is the place where they want to park some of their money. Hence the pitch at the fourth quarter earnings report with this highly, highly equitable ESG component of their business model, including Blueprint 2.0. So as we see the price of Hasbro stock moving once again on the 1 day mark, it's up 0.69%, and that's a couple of dollars over the last week, all the way from 49 to 53, a $3 tick up in price. Maybe folks in the banking sector are looking at this, thinking that this is a place for them to park some money. Hasbro's got plenty of products coming out, and they're selling them like nobody's business. Maybe this is why they're appealing to big banking firms, because I know it's not you and me who are buying this stock. No, it's investment bankers, it's big banks who are selling this stock in a basket of stocks, giving it a rating A, B, or C, and then peddling it to people who are looking for RSP retirement funds and the like, corporate investment funds, union investment funds, group share pools and funds, that they can put this into a basket as an equitable stock resource. Better store of value to buy Hasbro stock or Bitcoin? You be the judge. Let me know in the comments section below. And one more interesting take here this morning before we head on over to the stock desk, because I got a really cool article to share with you folks this morning. It's going to be really neat, but I do want to touch on this. Do you use TikTok for your Magic the Gathering needs? I'm looking at the chat. I need to know the poll. I want to know your audience. Are you following any Magic the Gathering TikTok creators? There are some people that do. Yes, I use it. So here's an interesting spicy play for you folks today. Okay. Brody's spicy play this morning. You go on Twitter. Okay. So this is the house of cards that's coming down. We know where TikTok was developed. It's developed in China, and the CEO of TikTok was hauled into the U.S. Senate hearing to answer some very tough questions about. We know that everything that's developed in China has ties directly to the government, whether it's toys that are built over there, pops, bobbleheads. They can't build anything without Big Brother giving them the approval. So it's pretty hard to say that Big Brother doesn't have a hand in TikTok. And there's a lot of Magic the Gathering content creators who have grown their following on TikTok and are a little bit concerned over the banning in the United States on government issued devices for TikTok, because it's become apparent, suspected that people suspect that this app, unlike many others, could be collecting your personal data while you look at the Magic the Gathering content that's on there. Access to your phone, I don't know how so, but the CEO of TikTok completely denies it, refuses to answer any questions, and many folks are taking to Twitter to post their outrage over the banning of TikTok, because they've grown their following on TikTok to over 5 or 10,000 people on TikTok. Therefore, they've taken to Twitter, which is leads me to my next point, in which those folks over at Twitter who are complaining about the banning of the use of TikTok for creating their Magic the Gathering accounts on Twitter have just been informed a couple of days by Elon Musk that anybody who's going to want to get a verified blue check mark on Twitter is going to have to pay $7 a month, making these content creators jump straight from the frying pan into the fire. So you're using TikTok, next thing you know, TikTok's going to get banned. So they're using TikTok to make Magic the Gathering videos, grow a following to 5,000. Is it organic? I don't know. And then taking to Twitter to share their grievances about how they should be able to continue to use TikToks, while Elon Musk has got his hand out saying, I'm going to need $7 a month from everybody on the platform, regardless of what you're making content for, or you're just going to be lumped in with the bots that are circulating on Twitter, because there's enough of those going around in the artificial intelligence world. So I found it funny. For about a day there, people were airing their grievances about not Magic the Gathering content creators were airing their grievances about losing their access to TikTok on Twitter, only to get the surprise that Twitter will now be asking for $7 a month. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to pay it. And I'll tell you why. Okay. This show was started because of the free Treons. I had a group of individuals that I really wanted to keep in touch with, my play group, the folks near and dear to me who watch this channel. I created the very first free Treon in existence on YouTube, where those people will get all. If the channel grows from from any size, they'll get the shirts, they'll get participation, they'll get the shout outs, they get their name on the trailers. I made this channel to be free for everybody who wants to participate in the channel and chat. You can also share your support if you want to get involved. There are ways to do that, but I am big on free content because I want to give something back. I wouldn't want to be charging money to have access to my content if I was making it for fun and as a hobby and as something that I feel is my duty to inform you folks of these signals that I see in the market each and every day. So if you want to show some support, there are other ways to do that. Of course, we have the Patreon, and we've been growing with all you beautiful subscribers who join the channel in the chat each and every morning. Thank you all for tuning in today. These are some of your Magic the Gathering news headlines and what's changing in the financial world and how it all connects together. Like I said, the price of Hasbro stock slowly ticking up in price, where banks are currently looking for places to park their money in these uncertain times. Is your is your Magic card? Do you know where your Magic the Gathering cards are? Do you have them in a long box or maybe some sleeves or in a deck box? Don't take them down to the bank and ask to make a deposit. They'll look at you funny. OMG. Let's catch up with the chat here this morning. I've got an article to read this morning by Steve Heisler. Steve, Super Steve Heisler, bringing us a new article this morning called History Restapled Under the Radar and Over the Top. I can't wait to read this one for you, folks. It's going to be a good one. All right, let's catch us on some chats here this morning before we get into this awesome article by Steve. Who we got? Twiddlers in the house. Tommy Siddons coming from North Carolina. Michael Superbacker, thank you. Go home, AI. Richie Dubs doesn't want anything to do with the AI. Oh, great. Ed, the dual brain is here. No TikTok for seeds ever, ever, ever. Dual brain says, good morning. Thank you, folks. Twiddler's Place, you got 1,000 followers on TikTok. I do stuff there. And just so you're aware, that seems to be making news this morning, and I know lots of Magic the Gathering content creators are Twiddler. I know you're not the only one. I'm currently not using it, but there are a lot of folks using it currently. So I would just suggest do some research on your own and see if that's still a place that you want to be. I just made an MTG channel on TikTok as well. Okay, well, do some research. It's pretty big talk right now. I would suggest don't take my advice. Don't take anything you hear out the bro's mouth for for granted. Do some research. I just want to bring this stuff to light for you folks. There's lots of MTG content creators out there having second thoughts. So just take a look here this morning. Let's check it out. Giveaways. All right. There's a better name than the pull game. Nice. Twiddler says, hey, you guys. Okay, even in better news, Twiddler says you guys should all stop by Twiddler's Place tonight. Twiddler is up to 600 subscribers and will be doing a 600 giveaway along with the poll game here tonight. All right, so if you guys, Fridays, right? Tuesdays and Fridays, Twiddler. If you guys haven't made it over there, if you want to see somebody doing it right, having fun at night with Magic the Gathering and opening packs, having a gamified version of some Magic the Gathering pack cracking and fun, head on over to Twiddler's Place. I hope you put a link in the chat section for everybody watching at home. You may even catch me there because there's duck racing. Yeah, I said it. There's duck racing over there. There's a good time. There's a lot of fun to be had. And if you're sitting at home and you need something to do, you can join us all over at the Twiddler's Place this evening, where we're going to have a little bit of fun. People are taking note. Let's read this card. History Restapled, Under the Radar and Over the Top. Steve Heisler giving us a pretty sweet article this morning. His first article, Steve Heisler's first article in MTG Stocks. All right, we're gonna have to give. Let's quickly just let's give Steve a little shout out. Let's give Steve a little shout out on the Twitter. All right, let's check. I read and I write. Steve Heisler has a few followers. Let's give Steve Heisler a quick shout out. Let him know we're doing the show here this morning, and maybe he wants to join us. I heard back from Harvey McGinnis as well as some of the other writers over at the stock desk. Talks and Talks this morning, Steve. You are up. I did get a chance to connect with Harvey McGinnis and a few of the other writers over at the stock desk, including Matt Grezechnik. I have always trouble saying that one. And I let them know that I appreciate reading their articles each and every day. So let's take a look at this very first one here by Mr. Steve Heisler. In this article, Steve Heisler starts his new series, Restapled, by looking at two recent cards to determine if they're worthy of the status of staple in Commander. All right, over the radar, under the radar, and over the top. Let's check it out. Oh, little sip of coffee. Let's have a little sip of coffee. You need a minute to arrive on the show. Thanks for tuning in. Everybody, grab yourself a coffee. Tell your boss you need to tie your shoes. Whatever you got to do. Anger Collection's in the house. Moxfire's here. Everybody's here. Finally showed up. Well, my boss finally showed up. Time to go to work later. Uh, Looks like you could be carrying the team. I am the working man for the working man, so I get it. Whatever you folks are out there doing this morning, I know it brings some value to the world. Do it with integrity, do the best job that you can, and do your part to make this world a better place and move the economy. We can't all just sit on TikTok all day and pretend that's a job. We have to provide some form of value in the world, right? That's why everything you do, everything you touch, and every person that you interact with, every interaction is precious and important because we only have so much time to give. Let's check this out. I started slinging spells around the time of 4th edition. Hi all, Steve here, longtime pop culture journalist and Magic player. I started slinging spells around the time of 4th edition and have been following the game on and off to this day. Though I've taken some breaks and actively collecting cards, at times I've been lucky enough to blend my Magic obsession with my career as a writer, interviewing Mark Rosewater about the printing of Magic Origins and the elimination of core sets from rotation. Guess it's an ongoing story. Pontificating on Wizards' decision to print cards directly into Commander, I guess it's an ongoing story. And lauding the game's implications in a world of corporate training. I'm psyched for this writing opportunity at MTG Stocks, not only because it feels good to type the names of cards in a professional setting, but also because it offers a chance to write long through the lens of my newly discovered obsession for the financial aspects of the game. Welcome aboard. It's gotten so prevalent that my player group dubbed me the resident wheeler and dealer. And when someone lands a great pull from a pack, they jokingly tease my instinct to reach for my trade binder. MTG Stocks has always been an invaluable resource for me, and I hope it is that can be some of service to that community as well. Thank you, Steve, for giving us this article here today. Another writer with a mindset for finance and MTG fun and MTG value into your collection, and that's how it's done. Robert O'Brien's here. Good morning, Robert. Thank you for joining us here today. All right, with that, welcome to History Restapled across. With that, welcome to History Restapled, a commander-focused column which attempts to determine a newer card's status as a staple, therefore its potential to command a decent price through a look at how cards that are similar, synergistic, or competing have fared in the past financially. Clever concealment. Concealment. Here's the first card we're going to look at today. This 4-mana white instant card with Convoke says that any number of target non-land permanents you control phase out. Phasing? I'm telling you. Phasing like Urtai's familiar, any of these cards with phasing, Tanawa, any cards with phasing on the reserve list. I'm telling you, there's cards out there for $1. Get your hands on some of them. This is a card that phases out non-land permanents. Vision Charm. There's all kind. Phasing is coming back to Magic the Gathering. Like these mechanics. Like they brought back. In fact, there's more cards with phasing that are going to start coming out over time. Each color holds the potential for a player to effectively take an extra turn. Blue does it with literal extra turn spells, of course, and white's spin on the effect involves negating an opponent's turn retroactively. Clever Concealment is the latest iteration on the theme, enabling players to protect their most of their board from removal or other potential game-winning effects for the negligible cost of tapping a few creatures, the production of which is already a strength of the color. The card hit $23 on release and is since undergone a steady price decline to where it is now at $12. Clever Concealment's status as a staple largely depends on how it stacks up against established entities. The most obvious comparison is Teferi's Protection. This is the one we all know. Until end of turn, your life total can't change. You gain protection from everything. All permanents you control phase out. Exile Teferi's Protection. This instant speed card does pretty much the same thing. I guess what Steve is saying here is that each color now has its own version of taking an extra turn, and this phasing out ability on white seems to be on flavor. Teferi's Protection, whose status as a staple was established right out of the box in Commander 17, and according to EDH Rec, it can be found in 34% of most of the 60,000 white decks, and doesn't seem to be going anywhere since the reprinting of it in Double Masters 2022. The card has held unwavering at roughly $25. It's on a way down the list before other options emerge. Note, all of the following allow for protection of non-creatures, but considering Clever Concealment requires creatures to operate at its full potential, it's safe to assume creatures make up the bulk of what needs protecting. The flexible Akroma's Will is in 25%. Its current valuation of $15. This is the instant speed that says choose one, and if you control a commander as you cast a spell, you may choose both. Creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, double strike until end of turn, and creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors until end of turn. All right. Current valuation of $15 for Akroma's Will, and Flawless Maneuver. The instant speed that says if you can control your commander, you can cast this without paying its mana cost, and your creatures gain indestructible. Is a long considered staple that can be found at 21% of white decks and holds a price tag of about $13 after a reprint, and literally the same pre-constructed deck as Clever Concealment. Even lesser options used like Guardian of Faith and Cosmic Intervention, shout out to Cosmic Seeds, Stefan, we know you're watching, can continue to hold the $3 value. Let's read Cosmic Intervention for you, Stefan, because it's got your name on the card. Right? Totally. Okay, Cosmic Intervention. If you were Cosmic, this is how you do it. 1 white and 3, if a permanent you control would be put into a graveyard from the battlefield this turn, exile it instead, return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Foretell, a white and 1. You can foretell this instant speed boat on the Cosmic Intervention and Guardian of Faith. So the only two that phase everything out here are the Teferi's Protection, and the other ones, the Teferi's Protection, as well as the Clever Concealment. These are the two that phase your stuff out. And like Steven's been saying here, Steve has been saying this sucker's been drifting down from the $25 to $10 mark. And he's making the connection that this is a form of an extra turn spell. Do you agree? Do you disagree? It could be an extra turn spell. If you're not there for a round of play, it's just the same as taking an extra turn. Would I go so far as to say giving all your stuff indestructible until end of turn is like phasing out and taking an extra turn? I would disagree and say that it's not exactly the same thing, but it's close. Alrighty, right. Clearly, there exists a healthy appetite for protective redundancy, so I would expect Clever Concealment to drop in price substantially anytime soon. Oh, okay. Don't expect it to drop in price anytime soon because the redundancy of this card gives us another copy of Teferi's Protection, and that is a good thing. However, absent another print, the market has dictated that the demand for Terry's Protection, Flawless Maneuvers, and Akroma's Will remains high, and this isn't the sort of effect a deck needs to pack in fours. I wouldn't be surprised if the price dips a little, perhaps nestled at the $7 to $8 between the prices of current staples and non-staples, at which point it will likely settle until another near staple arrives. Interesting, interesting. Where's my red stapler? Darn it. Where's my stapler? Duck racing, baby. Yes, duck racing tonight. I'm happy. It's Friday, right? It's yabba dabba do time. It's the weekend. Anybody's heading to Friday Night Magic? Bring a friend. And if you can't make your way to Friday Night Magic, bring a friend to Brody's. Bring a friend to Twiddler's place. Even better. All right. Carlock, Fury of Avernus. Carlock, the Fury of Avernus. This is a legendary 5/4 for a red and 4. This is the next card we're going to take a look on. This legendary creature, Tiefling Barbarian, says whenever you attack, if it's the first combat phase this turn, untap all attacking creatures. They gain first strike until end of turn. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. You choose a background. You can have a background as a second commander. What? This card's really good. Like this goes right in a Mirage deck, taking an extra turn, or maybe with the one from Amonkhet, the Combat Celebrant, that takes an extra combat step, or maybe Final Fury if you're playing a Boros deck and you want to take an extra turn, or Final Fortune, you want to take an extra combat step and then an extra turn that has an extra 4 combat steps. I'm building a deck that takes 4 combat steps, no doubt. Playing the Combat Celebrant, the Mirage, and the Carlock Fury of Avernus. Lots of redundancy in taking extra combat steps. You can give stuff double strike. The commander rewards escalation, taking an already game-breaking action and intensifying it far over the top of what's possible in a 60-card format. Red's version of this tactic can take the form of extra combat steps, only a slice of a time walk effect, but an extremely relevant, super relevant combat step, especially in lower powered games. The vast majority of extra combat spells go for at least a few dollars, even one-off vanilla-ish ones like Relentless Assault and Fury of the Horde, with a higher price tag, or being the ones that enable combos. Aggravated Assault is about $40. Combat Celebrant is sitting around $15. And additionally, the vast majority of extra combat spells have been printed all at once. I remind you that the Mirage Fury of Akoma is a Minotaur, so if you're thinking maybe pick up building Minotaur Tribal with the double combat effect, with Mirage, a copy of Didgeridoo would put this thing straight onto the battlefield for just a couple of 3 manas. But nevertheless, Carlock Fury of Avernus, which arrived in Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate, is most recent take an extra combat step or extra turn effect, and arguably the best printed so far. The card gives first strike to a relevant commander ability to your entire team for 2 combats each turn, and it doesn't have to attack herself, meaning she activates right away. Yet for the moment, the card is one of the cheapest extra combat enablers for $6.50. For the regular version of $5 and the alternate printing, it's this equivalent of Seize the Day, and that less than Mirage Fury of Akoma's price tag of $9, awkwardly ordering of remaining phases in the turn. Despite more versions of this effect, almost all of the mass extra combat enablers in Commander are holding their prices, with some starting to inch up in price, including Mirage, the Combat Celebrant, Carlock herself. But we have to account for the fact that Carlock is a known character for Dungeons and Dragons, reducing the chances she'll be reprinted outside of Universes Beyond. Grab a copy now before players start wisening up to the Carlock's power and the price escalates, at least beyond Mirage, into a double-digit status. Good comparison there against the Mirage card. Is Carlock better than Mirage? With the first strike ability, it just might be. So perhaps its valuation is a little bit low compared to Mirage. Tom Mitchell's in the house. 3 mana, that's a didgeridoo. Alrighty. So the Staples Center, with so many sets being released these days, and all of them Commander legal, it's easy to jump in and aboard the hype train. Sorry, it's easy to jump aboard the hype train and overvalue a new card's potential to not only shake up games but replace previously established cards in the staple pecking order. Hopefully, history restapled represents a more measured approach to evaluation, and I look forward to digging into the topic until there's no more wheels to deal or deals to wheel. Steve Heisler is writing and pop culture journalist covering comedy, games, television, film, and tech in the industry. His work has been published in Rolling Stone, GQ, Variety, the AV Club, Fast Company, and Chicago Sun-Times, and The Morning Show with Brody Alfonso. He began collecting Magic cards during the 4th edition and plays Commander Modern primarily. Enjoys tennis, the Dark Souls family of video games, and supporting live comedy. Lives in Chicago with his cat, Rosie. Thank you, Steve Heisler, for another article here. If this is your first one over the stock desk, it's a good one. I'm giving you a little thumbs up. The only thing I would sort of tend to disagree just a little bit is that the phasing out ability is not all that similar to giving your creatures indestructible till the end of the turn when we're talking the parallels to taking an extra turn. But I see what you're trying to do there. It makes a lot of sense, and I think our viewers will really appreciate more articles coming from you, Steve. Keep it up, and thank you very much. What else we got here before we get on to some movers? Some shakers, and some bakers here this morning. We got one more article I'm going to bring you folks here from MTG Rocks. It's a good one. I think it's fine to read this one just a little bit quickly. Let's build ourselves another cup of coffee for anybody joining in. That's crazy, bro. Novelty MTG Secret Lair cards are causing outrage. So I guess the newest Secret Lair that dropped, people are not too happy about them. I think we're going to find out why. Let's take a look at this article over at MTG Rocks, which says, since being introduced in 2019, Secret Lair drops have been harmless fun, but for Magic players reprinting fan favorite cards of new and wacky art treatments, these drops have delighted interested players without troubling anybody else, for the most part, at least. Unfortunately, while the majority of Secret Lair drops have been harmless, a few past releases have been somewhat problematic. Raunchy as it was, we're not talking about the Sown Coil Serpent's Extra Serpent here, but rather the troubling launch of Universes Beyond. Interesting. Starting with the Walking Dead crossover drop in 2020, Universes Beyond cards were literally and initially ultra exclusive limited time offering. In theory, this shouldn't have been a problem, as traditional Secret Lairs utilize the same limited time drop model with no problem. In reality, however, since the Universe Beyond cards were mechanically unique, not reprints, players were enraged by this sales model. Following extensive criticism, Wizards of the Coast eventually promised to print in universes within versions of the crossover cards. Thankfully, this decision mitigated players' concerns, allowing Universe Beyond to go into full flourish. That's it, until recently when concerns flared up once again over the Secret Lair Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. This is the latest Secret Lair that dropped just a couple of days ago. Secret Agent Brody did a Secret Lair review on these, each individually, to see if this is worth the squeeze. But the point is if you want to get these cards, the only place to do it, and even if they are mechanically unique, the only place you can get them is the Secret Lair. And that's what has got people shouting from the mountaintops. Is this so? I don't see how people can complain about the reserve list not being printed, or people say, oh, they should reprint the reserve list, but then they do stuff like this. It's like the secret reserve list. If you don't buy it from the Secret Lair, you can't get these cards. So it's like beyond reserve list, extra secret reserve list. So they're actually, I mean, I would argue that Wizards is trying to go around the reserve list by printing more powerful cards and creating a new reserve list by way of the Secret Lair Universe Beyond. Last week, an unfortunate slip-up from WotC's Singapore division accidentally leaked the existence of a new Universes Beyond Secret Lair, as you might expect, given the subheading that Secret Lair was a crossover with Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. At first, despite the crossover cards featuring the likeness of famous actors and actresses, the players were all too concerned. But rather than kicking up a fuss that the Hugh Grant being on a Magic the Gathering card, I did say it looks like Hugh Grant. Players instead enthused about the mechanics. For instance, many players were deeply excited that Edgin, the Larcenous Lutenus, as they are the perfect Fortell commander. While the mechanics of the Honor Among Thieves cards excited players, unsurprisingly, the art wasn't for everybody. He might be a national treasure in the UK, but not for everybody who wants to have Hugh Grant staring them staring them in the face on a Magic card commander game. Thankfully, when he first leaked, players expected Wizards to keep up with their promise for the universe with reprints after 6 months. Subsequently, even those who hated the art were able to get excited about these cards in the future. Unfortunately, while there was an expectation from players following the leak, until now, the Secret Lair drop has been revealed. It appears that's not the case. Universe Beyond stays beyond. Earlier this week, Wizards officially unveiled the Honor Among Thieves Secret Lair across social media, and given players had seen all the cards at last week, there wasn't too much fanfare about this release. After all, surely they wouldn't be anybody noticing more information to care about the price of $39.99. For better or for worse, that wasn't the case. An accompanying Polygon article featured quite the bombshell reveal. Speaking with WotC's senior creative director and franchise development, Jeremy Jarvis, Polygon revealed that, the contrary to the expectation, this Universe Beyond Secret Lair won't be getting a Universe Within release. Explaining this decision, Jarvis stated, "Never say never, but these cards are very specific to these characteristics and this moment in time." As you can imagine, considering the outrage that The Walking Dead Secret Lair caused, players weren't happy about this news. Taking to social media, countless Reddit users voiced their complaints against the Wizards and the sales tactic using dodgy, for instance, chanted FOMO repeatedly while using knife and other slurs. Suspected Wizard was being malicious. Hell yeah, Wizards of the Coast, pump the value before releasing your plans to make the Universe Within nothing printing after you've made money off the assumption by most that there will never be a Universe Within printing. Currently, it's unclear if Wizards is deliberately trying to create a sense of FOMO. One thing is for sure, however, players aren't happy. So this Universe Beyond is going to stay beyond, and the rumor, it could be just to pump the sales of the Secret Lair and then they'll release it later. But with Wizards of the Coast coming out directly and saying there won't be a functionally mechanic printing of these cards in the Universe Within, it's got people taking to the streets, and they're not doing very good at helping. If you want to read the entire article here, I'm going to put a link in the chat below. For you folks watching at home, if you want to read the entire thing, feel free. It's a good one, but that's what's going on right now. A little bit of outrage for everybody who was expecting these Secret Lair Beyonds to have an in-universe printing. Quite interesting. It's Friday. Let's look at the all list this morning. Oh, God, I gotta have a little sip of coffee. It's great to be here with you folks. Be excited? We're gonna take a look at the movers and the shakers to see what's moving in the world of Magic cards. Magic the Gathering rocks. Prime 406 is here. Richie Dubs, have a great day, everybody. Smile. It's Friday, you betcha. Hopefully we'll see you over in the Twiddler's Place this evening. Check the book promos from back in the day. Those are almost reserved list, right? Is Wizards eliminating the reserve list? No, they're expanding the reserve list with Universes Beyond Secret Lairs that you can only get in a Secret Lair, right? Tapping into that value going hard right now. You know what that sound is? Are you moving in your seat? Are you shaking with defeat here this morning? No. You're here with the bro. Let's get into some movers and the shakers here this morning. We're looking at all the movers and the shakers for the entire week. Let's take a look. At the top of the pile is this card, Beta Wheel of Fortune, the wheels. All right. Sealed product is on sale right now. Yes, I know, folks. I didn't think it was video worthy, but I guess some people think that the sealed product deals are too hot to handle. But I'm still not convinced that the bottom is in. All right. I'm telling you, we're waiting specifically for the super high-end sales. In quote, super high-end sale. I'm waiting for that to drop, okay? Super high-end sales at the card dealers, because right now they've got a backlog. Like, the only thing, and people aren't touching on this, like the only thing that I see when sealed product goes on sale from like New Capenna and other sets, Crimson Vow, that were released last year, and they go out on blowout sales, it tells me that there's a backlog of that inventory on store shelves and they're desperate to move it. If this continues into 2023 and the sales don't go according to plan, if they keep on going at the rate they're going, the products that are on sale now are going to be available later in the year to next year at the proper market price, the cheaper price that things are going for now. So we're waiting. And when that doesn't work out, big stores are going to have to start going to the showcase and discounting their high-end singles, including their reserve list cards in their showcase. And that is the moment we are waiting for. It could be as far out as November. So the sealed product going on sale from last year right now is just the canary in the coal mine. It's a sign that the local game stores are getting a little bit desperate and need to blow out inventory to make way for new stuff. And if that doesn't sell, if that sells anything like everything else has been selling, they're going to have to go to the next level of sales. All right. And quite frankly, I'm not as excited about sales on sealed product as I am on reserve list singles, like this card, or alpha beta cards, like this card, Wheel of Fortune. A tick up in price on the Wheel of Fortune from Beta, $43.99. Now, this card, it's been said over at my little brother's channel, Rudy. My little brother Rudy, he's got a channel, and he's talked about this card as it is being one of the best cards in Revised. Okay, along with the dual lands. This card, I opened one of these in a box of Revised when I was a little kidlet. I still have it. People wanted to get it off me in a trade, but I never let it go. This thing is $328 and it's on the reserve list. The black bordered beta is worth $4,000, and this card has been a target of buyouts over and over again. If you're looking at Revised as a set, don't forget this card, Copy Artifact, are also. Let's put that one up. We cannot talk about Wheel of Fortune without talking about Copy Artifact, but anybody who thinks that the dual lands are the best and the only reserve list staples in Revise worth getting, these are a couple of cards that are also worth picking up when you see the time is right. Right now, Wheel of Fortune's making its way onto the movers and the shakers list, so we're just going to be waiting a little while. But look at Copy Artifact taking a drift down in price on the stock chart. This thing has been as high as $170 or $180, and now it's just sort of seeing some relaxation. So we're like so you can imagine stores who were taking these cards on the buy list right around here. Then this thing has been settling down in price for some time, so they're definitely going to have to clear out some inventory at some point. And this Wheel of Fortune is no different. Let's take a look. There we go. There's a flag on the play here. Let's take a look here. We've got one flag right here. Let's draw it in. Brody just wants to get his pen handy and draw some lines on charts. Here's one flag around 2021, around the same time Copy Artifact got bought out. Now this card was sitting at around, it was sitting at around 225 bucks when it got targeted in a buyout, and it retraced to 360, a new low. All right, it's going to continue to move sideways in price and maybe see some buying action. This is an expensive card, but I would argue, like, if you need a dual land, this is another place maybe to park your hard-earned money on a revised Wheel of Fortune. It seems like a pretty decent time to pick one up. One available of the vendors, still scarce in supply. Lots of them on eBay right now for $209 or 210 bucks. You can get a near mint one for $598. So this Wheel of Fortune, another reserve list staple, that's definitely worth picking up. You see the beta version here going for 4,300. I just want to scroll this back and see when that price action started. Yeah, around 2020 it was 1,250, and now it's around the $4,000 mark. The vendors don't have stock. It's $2,000 or 2,800 on eBay. We've got a few people who are crazy who want $5,000 for this card on eBay. Of course, you can put something up for just about any price you want, and if people buy it, then good for you. But this card, definitely a draw 7. It's a wheel. We got things like Windfall and a few other cards that let people draw 7, like Memory Jar, which is banned. But this card, definitely 3 mana, reserve list. Definitely on the radar for anybody who's trying to fill out a wheel deck or get some reserve list cards. Put that one on your radar for when there's a super high end sale. Around the $200 mark on eBay seems like a pretty good time to pick it up. Time Vault from Unlimited. Here's a card that never got reprinted in Revise. Alpha Beta Unlimited, that's it. Speaking of taking an extra turn, shout out to Steve over at the Stock Desk. Thank you for bringing us an amazing article here this morning. Really appreciate you for joining the Stock Desk team and writing for those folks over there. I like that. But this card is worth $1,490. Lots of Twiddler. This card's for you. Okay, if there was ever a card that was worth twiddling, it's this one right here. Okay, I like some secret layers. It's nice I can choose which ones to buy. I want a secret layer Megatron. Daddy needs the Blightsteel for Atraxa Infect. Right? Nice. Keep the comments coming, guys. I love reading your comments here this morning. It keeps me chuckling and having a good time. No better card to twiddle, some might say, than the Time Vault, right? There's even a deck that's played around it called Twiddle Vault. Let's take a look at, just go back for a second, see what decks are using Wheel of Fortune. Nekuzar the Mind Racer. That's the one that deals a damage each time a player draws a card. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Whenever opponent draws a card, Nekuzar the Mind Racer deals a damage. So, of course, Nekuzar, the wizard zombie, with a Wheel of Fortune. Time Walk, there's decks using it, especially in Vintage, Legacy, and Old School. Let's see here. We're banned in Legacy. Okay, Vintage and Old School. Restricted in Vintage. Don't forget about Old School. So this is what I'm telling you, folks. Join me in this conversation every day, because I'm going to fill in the blanks that you don't see here on these websites. They don't even acknowledge Old School as a format, and I'll tell you what, some of the finest Magic the Gathering minds and the finest people on the planet are Old School Magic the Gathering players. And there's no support for that format in this website or any others. They don't talk about it. It's like its own subculture, right? And then you run into people who play it and you're like, I didn't even know that was a thing, right? Not every format goes mainstream like Oathbreaker. And it's only a matter of time until Wizards starts to, these guys have to add Oathbreaker. But Old School, this card is definitely played in it because it's all from 1993-94. Blue Tinker, definitely playing it. Prison Shops, Paradoxical Outcome. Blue, you would tinker for this. 8 cast, Oath of Druids, and all the vintage decks usually run a copy of Time Vault. Can you get it from the vendor store? Yeah, 1359 bucks for this card. It'd be something I would want to trade into, right? If you're building a buy list, you know, it doesn't take a long time to get some cards into a box and get some value. Twiddler says, I have the beta only. Is it near mint, Twiddler? This would be a good target for you, my friend. So Time Vault, when it enters the battlefield, it enters tapped. So you need a way to untap this. I'll tell you why the Mishra's Workshop is so good. Okay, so let's look at Mishra's Workshop. Mishra's Workshop. All right. Mishra's Workshop taps for 3 colorless mana. Spend it only to cast artifact spells. So you want to turn 1 win? Mishra's Workshop can do that with Time Vault. Okay, so you go Mishra's Workshop. And then we got this Voltaic Servant from Dominaria. Right? This sucker costs 2 mana. And the Time Vault costs 2. So you're like, Mishra's Workshop makes 3. The Voltaic Servants is at the beginning of your end step, untap target artifact. So this basically untaps the Time Vault on your end step every turn. Then you just take an extra turn and you loop it over and over again. If you can make 4 mana, the Workshop will get you there. Workshop and a Mana Rock, maybe a Lotus Petal or any other mana, like a Grim Monolith will do it. Soul Ring into Grim Monolith into Voltaic Servant and Time Vault, or Workshop plus Lotus Petal or any other mana source, whether it's Spirit Guide or any other mana source. Quick mana, Workshop, Vault, Time Vault, turn 1 win, it can do it. That's why this card's so expensive. If you want to combine that with a card like Twiddle and put that under an Isochron Scepter and do it over and over again, you can. The Time Vault's a card that's expensive, and it's on the reserve list. Lord of the Pit from Beta. Here's a Beta rare. I mean, this card used to be the powerhouse 7/7 flyer back in the day, and now there's arguably cards that are much better. This one's got a pretty big downside on it that you have to sacrifice a creature during your upkeep or it's going to deal 7 damage to you. It's a rare from Beta, so just the simple fact that it is a rare, if you can get it in one of these old black borders, it's worth collecting, and I don't think it's going to be too bad of a long-term investment. Any of the alpha rares or beta rares, even though there's better cards out there, their rarity makes them collectible. If you got the mana staff, that could work too. You can use Voltaic Key as well. These are all good untap options. So I don't know who's playing the Lord of the Pit. It is a demon. Maybe we're going to be playing it with Liliana's Contract because it counts as a demon and it has that demon synergy. But John Irenicus, the Shattered one, is playing it. This Demir commander. Let's take a look. It's called John. Let's take a look at John Irenicus. This is an elf wizard. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent gains control of up to 1 target creature you control. Put 2 counters on it and tap it. It's goaded for the rest of the game and gains. This creature can't be sacrificed. It attacks each combat it enable, and it attacks another player if you, other than you. Whenever a creature you own but don't control attacks, you draw a card. John Irenicus goads your creatures. So you donate the Lord of the Pit over there with you send the Lord of the Pit over to your opponent's side of the table. It becomes a 9/9 flyer that's goaded and cannot attack you. And your opponents have to sacrifice one of their other creatures each and every turn, or it deals 7 damage to them. So this card, just with a downside on it from Alpha, Beta, and Limited Revised, just became really freaking good. I want to take a look at the revised copy just because this one's a black border, $3.70. The unlimited, maybe if you want to be a little bit of a baller and collector, you can get the unlimited version with the old mana pips. This one seems good too. 189 bucks. Lord of the Pit, actually a playable card now with John Irenicus. Thank goodness. How much is this available at the vendor store? So yeah, right now this card's spiking on $189. But you can pick it up at the vendor shop now for 39 bucks. Lots of people selling copies in heavy play for $20 to $30 in unlimited. It makes me think this card is a little bit underappreciated, being that it works well with a John deck. Lord of the Pit, Time Vault from Beta, $3,310. That one we covered. Here's some green land destruction. This used to be this Ice Storm, the counterpart to Stone Rain in the green land destruction deck. Maybe you want to throw this in a Ponza deck. Sorcery, destroy target land. Let's take a look. Is Saurulf, the Realm Eater. Ice Storm. How many versions did we get? We got Alpha, Beta, Unlimited. Ice Storm also wasn't. It's funny, hey? This card's not on the reserve list, but it has never been reprinted outside of a Master's Edition online, Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, and Collector's Edition only. So even though it's not reserve list, Ice Storm is only seen 3 printings, not reprinted and revised. This was a card that parodied Stone Rain, because Stone Rain was a red and 2 and destroyed any land. Green got Ice Storm that destroys any land. I want to see who's using it. Sarulf, the Realm Eater. I would say Ponza could probably run this. What does Sarulf do? Is this land destruction? Green land destruction? Whenever a permanent opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on Sarulf. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Sarulf has 1 or more +1/+1 counters, you may remove them all. If you do, exile each other non-land permanent with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of counters removed this way. So you get to wipe the board? I would say maybe the Ponza deck could run it. If I don't think that it's modern legal. Nope, because it's only had that one printing. But secret reserve list, perhaps Ice Storm, a collectible card. It could see a reprint at some point, but maybe we're not going to get it just because it sort of breaks the color pie. Some people might say this is before the color pie, right? This is when Magic was balanced. This is how Wizards of the Coast did things. Like, you've got controversy over cards like Crusade, but yet we have cards like Bad Moon who effectively do the same thing in an opposite color. Ice Storm is just that way for Stone Rain, and Crusade and Bad Moon were that for white and black creatures. You had the White Knight and the Black Knight, but for some reason or another, this card has never seen a reprint. Destroy any one land in green, land destruction in green. Jomde Tome. This card is, I'll tell you, this card's good in old school. It really is. In old school is a very slow format. It's like old school is like old man Magic, right? Because you're playing like fair Magic. The meta is basically the same meta as once was originally in Magic the Gathering. So we don't have any of the newer crazy card mechanics. It's all the original cards. 4 mana to get your tome running is actually quite possible if you run the Jomade Tome. It's played in old school. It draws you an extra card. The beta version is $1,799, and nobody cares about this card because it's been reprinted so many times as an uncommon, and again in Origins for 40 cents. 7th edition foil will be 126 bucks. The revised copy, if you want to play old school, get yourself a revised copy for $2. But the Jomde Tome, it does see play in an old school, and you can even put a power artifact on it to make it cost a couple less. So this is if you're playing the blue-white control deck, in old school, power artifact, enchanted artifacts ability costs 2 less to activate. So this is a target for the power artifact. Of course, there's better targets for this in today's day and age, but I can't think of a better way to play the Jomde Tome than powering it up with an artifact. Decks using it, Commander, Alela, the Artful Provocateur. I guess people are playing the Tome in Commander. Let's see this Alela, the Artful Provocateur. Fairy Warlock, Flying Death Touch, Lifelink. Other creatures you control get 1/0 whenever you cast an artifact or enchantment spell, create a 1/1 blue fairy. So yeah, you want the artifact synergy with Alela, the Artful Provocateur. Of course, Urza, the Chief Artificer, is going to be using it. Your Mana Crypt can get this. Oswald, the Fiddle Bender. Oswald. You know, the only Oswald I like is the one from Batman Returns. All right, Magical Tinkering, Gnome Artificer. 1 white and tap it. Sack an artifact, search your library for an artifact with mana value equal to 1 plus the sacked artifact's mana value. Put that onto the battlefield and shuffle. This has got Tinker right on it. OMG. This seems fine. White Tinker? Oswald the Fiddlebender? I like this card from... It's from Adventures in Forgotten Realms. Here's a decent card. Why not play this in Vintage? Splash white. Then you have a Tinker on board and you can do it over and over again. If somebody tries to blow up your artifact, you get to go get another one. Of course, the Jomde Tome is 4, so you can use the Oswald to go get something 4 or less to replace it. Seems pretty good. Another card on the reserve list here this morning for 419 bucks, up 18%. A lot of big moves here on the all list here this morning. For the total winners, we got Mirror Universe coming in at $420. We got this one here. It's just, this card is insane. All right, reserve list, 6 mana, tap and sacrifice it. Exchange life totals with target opponent. Activate this only during your upkeep. Is this allowed in Commander? Yeah, it's Commander legal. So you can like use something that takes your entire life total down to just about nothing, and then switch life totals with your opponent during your upkeep. If you have an ability to pay life in your upkeep and then activate the Mirror Universe, this can probably switch life totals with an opponent. You can start poking yourself in the eye and then switch places with an opponent, and then just do 1 or 2 damage to them to push them over the edge. Bane, Lord of Darkness. The commander decks are playing it. Joda the Archmage and Lisa the Shroud of Dusk. Let's take a look at Bane, Lord of Darkness. 5/2, legendary creature god. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, Bane, Lord of Darkness has indestructible. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, target opponent may have you draw a card. If they don't, you may put a creature card with equal or lesser toughness from your hand onto the battlefield. 29 cents. I don't know how Mirror Universe. Yeah, you want to exchange life totals, but this guy wants your Bane of Darkness wants your life total to be low. If it's less than half your starting life total, so you want to get your life total down, so then you get your 5/2 indestructible, and then I guess we're going to try to finish off the opponent by switching life totals with them. And what else we have? As long as you have 30 or more life, a Sarah Ascendant has +5/+5. So that comes online after you activate the Mirror Universe. Cruel Celebrant. Ah, here we go. It's the Ping Death, the Tick Kill, the Cruel Celebrant, Death Trigger, the Zulaport Cutthroat, and the Blood Artist. Whenever Cruel Celebrant or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Tegrid, Priest of Forgotten Realms. This is another good card. Sack 2 creatures and any number of target players. Each lose 2 life and sack a creature. You add double black. This was a really good mana dork back in Standard. Some walls. Wall of Glare may block any number of creatures in combat. And the Zulaport Cutthroat, just as we suspected. So, Choldred's making its way into the deck. Mirror Universe. Kind of a fun deck. The Bane of Fun. I like it. So if you want to get some fun into your collection, maybe the Bane of Fun deck is a card for you. The $419 price tag from this Legend Rare, you can actually get it for $343 at the vendor shop. I want to look at the chart here. How high has this sucker been? It's kind of been higher. It's been higher. It's been as high as 600 bucks. And now it's down to 420. Gigadees. Let's take a look. Benson says, I'll take my... Good morning. Benson says, I'll take my chances on YouTube Shorts. I've been doing 1 to 2 shorts a day since February 14th, and I'm at 80 something. Your shorts are good. I love that. I love that you keep making those shorts. Your shorts are good because they have tech in them, and it's something that people will want to see because it's under known tech. It's very good. Michael Superbacker says, if I did, every short would be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok as well. I do it when I think of it. MTG Walter Griffith. Who's Walter Griffith? Walter! Let me give a second to welcome this Walter. Walter Griffith, welcome to the channel. I've been watching Family Guy a little bit. I never actually watched Family Guy, but speaking of the Griffiths, Walter, pleased to have you here this morning. I just want to welcome you to the chat, welcome you to the channel. Folks in the chat and in the channel, please give Walter a warm welcome and tell him you're welcome to be here. All are welcome here on the channel. Welcome, 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 right? I'm starting to sound like Montel Williams here. I'm glad you're here this morning, joining the conversation. It's great to have new viewers, or if you've maybe been tuning in and you're just chatting for the first time, we see you there. I want to let you know that you can join us each and every morning if you like tracking the prices of Magic cards and you want to get some fun into your collection. That's where we're here. Thanks for joining us. Good morning, Walter Griffin. Wherever you are, may the sun be on your face and the wind at your back. It's going to be a great Friday. Happy Friday, wherever you are. Just a couple more cards to look at here on the stock desk here. We're joining the folks here this morning over the channel here. Gauntlet of Might. This one that says all red creatures at all get +1/+1. And all mountains produce an extra red mana when tapped. I want to see, is it all mountains? Whenever a mountain is tapped, its controller adds an additional red. So this is all mountains. I know goblins used to play this, but Feather the Redeemed is playing it. Norin the Wary. Such a funny card. Love it. It's a good time. Gauntlet of Might. I'm having too much fun here this morning, but you know, the cops are just showed up. They're at the door. I think I can probably sneak out the back before anybody notices. I'm going to grab my gauntlet. Gauntlet of Might. My cup of coffee. I gotta say it. Thanks again for you folks for joining me, the bro to the D, on Friday, March 31st, 2023. If you don't like tracking the prices of Magic cards, or maybe you do like tracking the prices of Magic cards, and you have something to say, leave it in the comments section below. If there's too much information out there or just not enough information, let me do it for you. I'm here Monday to Friday in the morning show. It's the bro to the D, the best darn Magic the Gathering morning show in the world. Nigh the plains, nigh the entire multiverse. That's right. Not afraid to say it. I want to give a special shout out to our friends over at the stock desk. We're writing some amazing articles here today, especially Matt Grozechnik, as well as Steve Heisler, for providing another awesome article for you folks today. And this is Alfonso's waving hi to all of me and all of you viewers at home. That's the sunshine that makes my day amazing. Thank you, folks, again. Join me each and every morning, Monday through Friday. And just so you know, who ends a live stream by lurking in the background and reading the chats from the viewers? Me. I do. I do that because it's my show and I can do whatever I want. And I like to read everybody's comments and reply to them, each and every one of them, because you've taken the time to write something to me. And I feel that your time is valuable and that it shouldn't be wasted. So that's why I do so. Thanks again, everybody. Have a fantastic day. See you on Monday. Friday. Illusionary Mask? It is a reserve list card, Michael. Illusionary Mask? Yes, it is. I think we looked at Illusionary Mask yesterday.